Hi.
Love that.
I like the countdown. And look, we're not as fuzzy on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Anyway, welcome. Welcome to Fun and Friends. I can say this. I'm Evelyn.
I'm Sabrina.
And I'm Jasmine.
And welcome to the channel.
Did you have coffee?
No,
Okay.
just last minute stint of energy, and then I'm gonna crash because I was up so late last night with the whole Doctor Strange thing. So,
all right. Well, let's get to it, girls and boys. We're on chapter 7. Yes, 7. That's German. Sieben. Anywho, so on chapter 6, we met a person named Yara with fiery red hair and is really lanky and beautiful and apparently is kind of familiar but not familiar, and we don't know who they really are. Yep, they're
and they all
and they breathe fire or something. They had like fire magic or something.
Yeah, they had like a fire dancing.
But everybody, every girl apparently was dressed up in like a Princess Jasmine kind of attire with like a genie kind of dance and billowy pants, and Sophie is totally being won over by the dean.
Yes, definitely.
Here is the remnants of a throne. And by the way, the king was punted into the river with a crocodile to be eaten.
He was eaten.
Oh, and a carpet full of prince hair.
Yeah, delicious. Love that.
Yeah.
Love the feeling of that under your feet. Goes really nice with those pink slippers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Sophie is definitely just soaking in the attention,
she's getting
the
autographs
praise,
from everybody.
the gifts, and Agatha is over here like, how are you being so blind to this right now? Do you not see how horrible this is?
We need to leave.
And yeah, let's see where this goes.
and you forgot the
The
ending.
spy butterflies? Oh,
No.
the ending. I don't remember the ending.
Little rats.
Oh yes, the little
yeah.
rat eyes when she wished for a friend that would teach her who she shouldn't trust.
And the little
Let's
rats.
find out.
Any theories on who this is? Because I have a feeling.
What's your feeling?
I think it's Hester.
Oh my god, we haven't heard her name yet.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. I was like, rats along her back.
Yep. She's our Birdo.
Right.
We don't talk about Hester.
Hey, look at me! I was right.
Oh my god.
First line.
Plot twist. She already read the 7 note.
I did not.
I know. I'm teasing.
I was thinking that when I saw the rats. Okay. Anyway. Because it was only like 30 seconds ago. No, okay, not 30 seconds. We had a then sesh. And then we're back to this.
What is 7 in Spanish again?
Siete.
Okay.
I had to process that
I
for a second.
said 7 in German, then I was like, I don't remember what it was in Spanish
I
anymore.
did it in sign language too.
Yeah, I remember that. But
He's giving you the eyes.
oh, hi Chewie. Our fur friend is not gonna jump up. He hurt his back leg.
Yeah, he
So
may end
he's
up going to the vet,
resting.
but we'll see.
Yes. You look so miserable wanting attention. You have the pro puppy pout.
As he does. Don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, Fun and Friends.
Yes.
I don't know how long are we gonna do this giveaway for? We gotta figure that out.
We should probably do a week. Give a week.
Give a week? I was
Yeah.
thinking 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay.
All right.
So this will be here. This will be starting the 2nd week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't forget to pop over there, comment, like, give us a smiley face.
Subscribe.
All those fun things. And then we'll probably do another giveaway when we hit another major milestone.
Yes, we will.
So don't
You
forget.
guys were saying 500 followers?
Yeah, I'm thinking 500 for our
Yeah.
next one.
But we'll let you know.
We'll let you know. We'll figure that one out.
Yes.
All right.
Anyways, this is kind of a long chapter, so curl up, stay put, get cozy.
I'm ready. I'm getting cozy. Okay,
Yeah.
stretching out a little. All right. Hopefully I don't fall asleep in the middle of this. I'll be like,
Hopefully I don't fall asleep.
Okay. Chapter 7. The witches brew a plan. So let me get this straight. Hester glared, straddling a gilded sink next to Annadol, both in their saggy black Nevers tunics. Tedros wants to kill Sophie. Sophie wants to kill Tedros, and unless you find an ending with one of them now, everyone in this school dies. Agatha nodded weakly, leaning against one of the Honored Tower's ivory bathroom stalls, fitted with a sapphire toilet and a tub. She never thought she'd be so happy to see 2 witches in her life. Unlike the rest of the girls, neither of them had changed. Hester's red and black streaked hair was greasier than ever, and buckhorned red demon tattoo around her neck back to full color after a failed spell had weakened it a year before. Annadale, meanwhile, looked even paler than she did before, if it was possible for an albino with ghostly light skin and hair. Straddling the sink next to Hester, she dangled a live lizard to her 3 black rats that looked just like the ones slain in last year's Good-Evil War. A prince and a witch willing to kill each other for you, she rasped in her scratchy voice. If it was me, I'd feel flattered. She watched the rodents disembowel the lizard and lift her hooded red eyes. Thankfully, I don't have feelings. Questionable. Who replaces dead pets with ones actually alike? Hester murmured. Look, I'm hungry, dirty, haven't slept, and an army of boys are trying to kill my best friend, Agatha said, voice cracking with stress. I just want us to go home alive. And yet you wished for Tedros, Hester said with her usual sharp sneer, which seems to suggest you don't want to go home at all. Agatha didn't say anything for a moment. Listen, just tell me what you do so no one gets hurt. As if we're fairy godmothers, Annie, Hester snorted, blowing a smoke ring off of her glowing red fingertip. Annadale graffitied a skull in the sink with her glowing green finger. Only not as ancient or menial. Please, Agatha begged. You're witches. You have to know another way to take back a wish. So earnest. Hester whirled and carved a box around Agatha's face in the mirror with her lit finger. Just look at that helpless, lost little soul. Still wearing black and searching for the old Agatha.
She reminds me of Ursula.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Poor unfortunate soul. The Agatha who threw headless birds, farted in Evergirl's faces, and loved her precious Sophie more than life. Hester met Agatha's reflected eyes and grinned. But she's gone, princess. That's not true, Agatha retorted, but Reaper's scratches seared her hand as if they were fresh. To think we once wanted you in our coven, Annadale said, and now here you are, afraid of hurting your best friend over a boy. Nice to see you two haven't changed, Agatha muttered, trundling for the door. Reminds me of why we weren't friends. In the end, only one can make you happy, Hester purred behind her. The question is who? Agatha turned to see the witches slide off their sinks and circle her like sharks. Sophie or Tedros? Hester mulled. Tedros or Sophie? Annadale stewed. The 2 witches leaned against the sink side by side. This requires plenty of thought, said Hester, peering at Annadale. Their heads went back to Agatha. Tedros, they chorused. Agatha's heart skipped, and she squelched it in shock. But that's wrong. I don't want a prince. Hester slid off the sink in one move. Listen to me, you bug-eyed tramp. Unless you kiss Tedros, the schools stay the way they are, she hissed, suddenly looking like the dangerous witch Agatha knew. Kiss him and everything is fixed. Prince with his princess. Witch gone forever. Ever's over here, never's over there. The school for good and evil in time for me to be a 3rd-year captain.
That's what she's concerned with.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Agatha crossed her arms. I see. I'm worried about my best friend's life and you're worried about school. Do you know what you've done to this place, you waffling wench? Hester snarled.
She's just going off.
Black eyes storming. Do you know what you've put us through? She flung a wad of crumpled parchment from her pocket. Agatha unwrinkled the schedule, barely readable under all the graffiti. Bring back evil. Hester of blank. Girls 2nd year. Honors 42. With scribbles. I must be in
It's a
hell.
snake.
You can
Spider.
show them the picture.
I will.
Classmate faces.
Yes. Session, de-beautification, princeless power, defense against boys, history of heroines, lunch, female talents, surviving fairy tales. The dean must die, never's rule, death to girls, dumb, stupid girls. I will show you a picture. Pause if you want to read that. Okay, back to being comfy. Agatha gaped at it.
Turn to page 107.
Agatha gaped at it. But these are about girls, you stupid idiot. Everything at the school is about being a girl, Hester screeched. Do you know how hard I have tried to prove I'm more than a girl and now I have to live in a castle full of them? You can't have a school without boys. Even we know that, and we'd rather kill ourselves than touch one. We did dance with them at the ball, Agatha corrected. Shut up, Hester, Hester boomed, spinning to Agatha. No one likes boys. Even girls who like boys can't stand boys. They smell, they talk too much, they mess everything up, and they always have their hands in their pants.
No lies there.
No lies there. But that doesn't mean we can't go to school without them. It's like stilts without bones. It's like witches without words. Without boys, life has no point. Echo shivered in the mirror. Agatha held up the schedule. And the teachers are okay with us? Why do you think they weren't at your welcoming? Hester grouched, settling a bit. They're as happy about this as we are. But we have no choice. Resist and they'll suffer the same fate as Princess Uma. Agatha saw the animal communication teacher wasn't on the schedule. Where is she? The dean changed her class to animal hunting, since girls have to be self-sufficient and can't depend on boys for food. Part of 5 rules. Annabelle puffed, turning the sink faucet on to terrorize the rats. Uma refused to teach her class, of course, on the grounds she wasn't going to kill animals. She'd spent her whole life befriending. For good reason.
Right.
I wouldn't either.
Mm-hmm.
She stroked her crippling wet rats and looked up.
Wait, weren't all of the animals failed evers and nevers? So
Yeah.
they're
Yep.
killing them?
Yes.
Wow, she's worse than the last dean.
Yup.
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna kill all the ex-students. Rid the
Murder.
world of them.
Murder.
So
Unworthy peasants.
So the other question is, are there only girl animals on the girl side and boy animals on the boy side?
I think it's just the boys that were currently at the school. And because princes
Everything-
and kings also got
Mhm.
ejected, so
So
It would be like that.
does
so
that mean all boys reverted back to human then?
I don't think they reverted back to human, but I have a feeling that the boy side has only boy animals and the girl side only has girl
Girl
animals.
Ooh.
Because they used to be students.
I would agree.
All right, continue.
Anyway, she stroked her quivering wet rats and looked up. The next morning, a staircase evicted her into the woods. She's probably better off, Agatha said, slightly relieved that she wouldn't have to learn more about owl hoots and dog calls from the prissy pink princess. Then she saw Annabelle still glaring at her. Do you remember what's in the woods? Agatha's chest clamped. Princes, vengefully bloodthirsty princes. Why didn't the dean rescue her? Agatha croaked. They'll kill her. You think that's bad? Hester barked, blood engorging again. Do you know how much nevers hate bathrooms? Do you know how much the bile boils just being near one? Let alone hiding in one with sapphire toilets? That's how much we don't want to go to classes here. She glowered so hatefully, Agatha swallowed her defense of Uma's fate as the worst. You want Sophie to stay alive? You want to avoid war between boys and girls? You want a happy ending? Hester's eyes burned into Agatha. Kiss Tedros. Agatha could feel her heart rebelling from its clamps. The correct ending, Professor Debbie had said. Agatha's cheeks splotched red. Betray her best friend? Abandon Sophie forever? After all they've been through? I can't, she rasped and slumped against the stall door. A cough suddenly came from behind it. Hester bared sharp teeth. What? Can I come out now? Peeped a familiar voice. You'll stay in there until you admit you're a traitor who no one likes and who's better off stabbing her own throat from ever showing her face again. Hester laughed.
Gosh.
Silence. Agatha, can I come out? Agatha sighed. Hello, Dot. The stall door opened slowly, and the ever girl she'd never seen, with slender waist and auburn curls, crept through first. Agatha gave her a baffled look and peeked in the stall for Dot. The stall was empty. Agatha slowly turned back to the stranger. But you're hungry all the time, Dot said, and pulled her into a long hug before Agatha drew away and gaped at her. Dot was 30 pounds lighter and had a light sheen of makeup, red lipstick, and sparkled mascara. Her hair, brown with blonde highlights, was tightly curled and clipped with glittery yellow barrettes. She even rolled up her uniform's light blue bodice to show off her taut belly. "You're not going to get rid of this school, are you?" Dot fretted, nibbling on what looked like a clump of dried kale. "Here we go," Annadale moaned. "Daddy always told me I end up fat and a lonely villain like him," said Dot, eyes wet. "But this place lets me be who I want to be, Agatha. I feel good here for the first time in my life, and these two make me feel bad for it. They made so much fun of me for being fat, and now they insult me for being thin." "So you might as well die," said Hester. "You're just jealous because I have new friends," Dot snapped. The tattooed demon peeled off Hester's back, inflated to life, and hurled a lightning bolt at Dot's head. Dot dove into the bathtub, and the bolt blasted a hole in the marble wall. A tiny girl on the bed, reading "Why Men Don't Matter," gaped up through the hole and fled her room. Grumbling, Hester summoned the demon back onto her neck. Dot peered at Agatha from the tub, now snacking on what looked like a star-shaped carrot. "She's mad because everyone else likes the dean." "I like that she can't make us wear that buffoonery," Hester said, scowling at Dot's blue bodice. "Professor Sheeks secretly taught us a charm that made us erupt in contagious boils any time we tried to put the uniform on. After 2 days of screaming girls, the dean gave up."
That's great, sorry.
Yeah.
"How could she just take over?" Agatha said, bewildered. "You have to remember how bad things were between boys and girls when you left," said Hester. "The most eligible prince in school lost his princess to a bald, toothless witch. Boys suddenly saw girls as the enemy. The girls saw boys as bullies. Then the school changed to boys and girls. It already felt as divided as good and evil. The dean just made things worse." "But where did she come from?" said Agatha. "She says she's Sadler's sister." "We all know she is. The night the school changed to boys and girls, Professor Dovey couldn't get into her office," said Annadale. "She and Lesso tried to open it for hours. When they finally did, Dean Sadler was sitting at the desk." "But how'd she get in?" Agatha said, frowning. "And why didn't they fight her?" "For one thing, the male teachers tried," said Annadale. "And they haven't been seen since." Agatha stared at her. "As long as Dovey and Lesso had the story in, we had a chance at peace," Hester pressed. "But now you kissing Tedros is the only hope, because there is no way to fight the dean." She glared at Agatha's eyes. "The castle is on her side." As Sophie followed the dean through the blue breezeway from Honor Tower to Valor Tower, girls kept popping up in their path, saluting Sophie like a ship captain. "Death to the prince!" a pimply girl squeaked. "Long live Sophie and Agatha!" chimed a elfish Evergirl. Sophie forced a fraught smile as she tried to keep up with Dean Sadler through the glass tunnel over the lake. As she watched the dean squinted out at distant places, clambering outside the school gates, testing Lady Lesso's shield with rocks and sticks. Her thick red mouth pulsed slightly, and she walked faster, hips swishing in a dress that seemed so much tighter than all the other teachers. Hustling behind, Sophie peered at the dean's reflection in the breezeway. She'd never seen anyone so beautiful, even her own mother. Proportions. Exactly out of a storybook. Rose-petal lips, hair so lustrous and full, as if the dean had been drawn to a page and brought to life. What did she use on her skin? Even Thistleroot can't get pores that small, Sophie thought, comparing them to the polished glass in her own. Her bald, toothless reflection snarled back at her, covered in warts. Sophie choked in terror and closed her eyes. "No, I'm good. I'm good now." She opened her eyes to see the creamy, smooth face once more. "Sophie?" Heart racing, Sophie turned to see the dean frowning at the end of the breezeway. Quickly, Sophie hastened to keep up, legs quivering. The more girls passed and saluted her. "Death to Tedros! Death to the prince!" When you said slay Tedros," Sophie fumbled anxiously, you didn't mean I'd slay him, or that I'd be involved in anything evil." "Given your past history, I thought you'd be looking forward to it," the dean mused. Sophie wiped the sweat. I know I have a rather fearsome reputation, but I've changed, you see. Have you? The dean gave her a pointed look. In the gallery, you seem quite ready to lead a war. Well, one must project the carriage of leadership, Sophie said, dripping with sweat now. But in truth, my witch days are long past, so perhaps it's best if someone currently evil kills Tedros. Might I suggest Hester and Agatha, both rather loathsome villains. The boy who wants to steal your only friend, and you're afraid to fight. Sophie looked up at the dean, grinning outside the entrance of Valor Tower. Perhaps because you don't know what it is you're fighting for. The doors magically opened up, and Sophie gasped. The walls on both sides of the crowded stairwell, stretching all the way up 5 floors, were painted with colossal stylized stencil murals of her and Agatha's smiling faces, hollowed with wreaths of stars above the glittering blue headline, "Hope for a better world." Instead of the musky leather cologne smells and animal skins of the old Valor Tower, now were lush hanging gardens draped over blue glass stairwell and the marble columns of azure-colored roses that showered the mob of students with petals as they headed to class, before lowering vines swept them up. As Sophie followed the dean up the stairs, girls immediately moved to the left in a single file, clearing a path and greeting them with warm smiles as they passed. Through the spiral banisters, Sophie saw a pack of blue butterflies zooming from floor to floor, rearranging into pictures to amuse the descending girls. A sylph, a nymph, a swan. The dean gave them a look, and with squeaky meeps, they zipped back into her dress. She turned off into the 3rd floor, and Sophie followed into the hall flurrying with activity. Against the walls, Evergirls and Nevergirls huddled side by side, watching a ghostly scene unfold atop the pages of a student's revised history of the woods, to finish an assignment. Above their heads, murals of idyllic schools of girls presiding over enslaved boys, watermarked with Sophie and Agatha's defied faces, stretching down the long dormitory walls. Raina darted to each of them with plates of poached eggs and pumpernickel toast, while Arachne passed mugs of chocolate buttermilk. In a corner, a group of girls practiced oboes, fiddles, and trumpets, though Sophie couldn't tell which one were the Evers and Nevers, since they all had ragged hairs and no traces of makeup. Standing on ladders over the stairwell, Mona and Millicent finished painting pink roses on banisters, a rich shade of blue, dripping paint on 2 girls sparring with wooden swords, while Kiko hopped past, flinging the sheets of parchment. "Book club meeting tonight, book club!" Before she was drowned by Giselle and Flava practicing a loud song from the sheet music. All around, doors chorused open and shut as girls scurried to their rooms from the welcoming and rushed right back with their books for class, unfussed by their sweaty faces and armpits. Sophie thought of all of the old schools, Nevers bashing each other to get to class, Evers primping for hours and hours, everyone in a terrible competition between schools, within schools, all the time. And now here they were, despite the sweatiness and raggedness and satanic smell of buttercream, thriving together, happy together, without a boy in sight. "How can Agatha not want this?" she breathed. "Some will always try to resist change," the dean said next to her. "Agatha is a princess and still believes she needs a prince. Surely you know the power of that fantasy." Sophie thought of all the hope, all the energy, all the time she put into her princely dreams. The conviction that a gorgeous boy of noble blood would sweep her into a white castle of eternal bliss. Agatha had taunted her ruthlessly for it, before the schoolmaster kidnapped them. "As if the muscle-bound god would even understand you," Agatha scoffed. "We'd be better off together." She'd given the unusual pig snort to make sure it sounded like a joke, but Sophie knew what she meant. Sophie knew she meant it. Agatha had always thought of the 2 of them were enough, ever after. But had her friend fallen under that spell? Had Agatha started to believe in some fantasy she once mocked? Sophie's stomach sank. Had she and Agatha switched places? "She wants to see him," Sophie said softly. The dean's face hardened, and she shunted Sophie behind the stairwell as girls streamed by. If she kisses him, all is lost. She'd never kiss him, not if it means losing me. She wished for him, Sophie, the dean pressed, gripping Sophie close. Wishes are born of the soul. Deny them, and they only grow stronger. Sophie's insides went cold. Leaning in, the dean took her cheeks into her gilded nails. She's not the girl you knew, Sophie. There's a thorn in her heart, and it has to be cut out. Sophie nestled into the dean's shoulder. I just want my friend back, she whispered. And you will, when her prince is dead. The dean stroked her hair. You'll stay together always, no boy between you ever again. Sophie's eyes misted. She wanted to hide in the dean's arms forever. Tell me what to do. Keep them apart, the dean said, pulling away sharply. Make Tedros fight us. When he does, you and your army will be ready. But I don't want to fight, Sophie stammered, feeling warts burn as if they were there. I want to be good now. And let your friend kiss her prince, the dean said, glaring at her. Let her banish you to an ordinary life in the world with no consequence? She edged closer. Friendless, loveless, forgotten? Sophie's voice left her. Wasn't that your mother sending? The dean asked, closer still, her lips grazing Sophie's ear.
Vindictive.
Oh, yeah.
This
Oh,
dean.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Very manipulative.
Yes.
And what became of her? Sophie lost all color. A hand grabbed hers, and she shrieked in surprise. Don't worry, Bellatrix chimed to the dean, dragging Sophie away. I'll show her the room and her uniform and her schedule. She put her arm around Sophie and yanked her down the hall. Can you believe we once fought over a boy? Speechless, Sophie glanced back at the dean against the wall mural, smiling like a mother to child. As the dean receded into the hall's darkness, the last Sophie saw of her was glowing green eyes, blending into those of her own muraled face, crowned above the princeless world. A world where her best friend would never betray her again. Sophie gritted her teeth. As long as Agatha didn't kiss Tedros, they had a chance. Agatha sat on the edge of the tub, dazed in dazed silence, knocking a soap bar to the floor. All she could think about was where she would be right now if she hadn't made that wish. Her mother would be stewing lunch, garlic and liver, and the smell from the cauldron would mix with the ashy wind seeping through the broken windows. On her bed, she'd be rushing to finish her grammar homework, due in the afternoon lesson. Curled in the corner, Reaper would hiss at her, but a little less than yesterday. As she slurped down the last stew, she'd hear the weeds crackle, and the soft humming. The glass heels on the porch. Walk to school, Sophie would say. They'd amble down the hill in their black and pink winter coats, cracking jokes about the barn-smelling boys in their class. Let them try to marry us, Sophie would say, and she would laugh because once upon a time it was true. They had each other, and they would never need more. How could I ruin it? She said, voice breaking. She looked up at the three girls. How could I wish for him? Because you're a princess, Agatha. Hester's face softened for the first time. And no matter how much you fight it, you want a prince. Agatha swallowed the knot in her throat. She looked up at Annabelle, who nodded next to Hester and waited for Dot to concur. She didn't. The two witches shot her with sparks. Ow! Okay, fine! Dot moped, munching on the star-shaped celery. Even if it means I go back to evil and to be fat and have no friends again. Agatha shook her head. Look, Sophie has to forgive me, and everything will be... Forgive you? Hester cackled. Her faithful Agatha soiled by the boy once hers, and you expect the Witch of the Woods beyond to forgive? Oh, please. Inside, Sophie wants to cut you up into little pieces. You don't get it, Agatha said hotly. Sophie's changed. She's good. Even Annabelle's rat snickered. She's never Agatha, Dot said. No matter how much you love her, no matter how much you try to change her, Sophie will end up evil and alone. And not class captain, Hester mumbled. Annabelle kneeled in front of Agatha. You will never mean your wish for Sophie, Agatha, because you and Sophie will never be happy in your world. For once, Annabelle's red eyes looked human. You'll always end up back here again, wishing for your prince, and Sophie will always be a witch, keeping you and him apart, until you kiss Tedros. Her cold, white hand took Agatha's wrist. Don't you see? Your wish was right. Agatha sat on the tub in silence. It was as if she had caught in another riddle. And once again, only a schoolmaster had the answer. This time, Sophie couldn't come with her. I have to see Tedros alone, she said quietly. Dot nodded. It's the only way you'll know if you're meant to be with him. And what if I'm not? Asked Agatha, thinking of all the reasons she hated her prince again. What if I still want to go home with Sophie? Then we'll help you, Annadale groused. Agatha thought of Sophie's face in Sadler's office, lethal and ice cold. But how do I see him without her knowing we're in the same room? Leave it to us, said Hester, gnawing on the ends of her red and black hair. But it has to be tonight. I can't survive another day of class. Agatha felt an odd relief, as if caught in a furious storm and suddenly given a glimpse of the eye. After all this, she would see Tedros. No matter what happened, there'd be hope after all. A road to happiness, a twist made. Hunched in the tub, she suddenly focused on the star-shaped bar of soap on the floor. She lifted her gaze to the star-shaped cucumber in Dot's hand. Is she bathing while they're sitting around her, talking?
No, she's just sitting against
They're
it.
sitting on this tub.
They're sitting on the lip of it.
I totally thought
It's like one of those big, like, claw tubs, so they're just kind of sitting and talking around it.
Yeah.
Okay, for some reason I thought she was sitting in the tub bathing. I was like, that's a little weird.
No, she just noticed that there's a star-shaped soap in it at the bottom, but she's also noticing that Dot is eating star-shaped foods.
Yeah.
So what's the significance to all the star-shaped food and star-shaped things?
I don't know.
I don't know either. We'll find out.
You'd think it'd be easier than chocolate, Dot sighed, turning another soap into a turnip. There you go. She's turning the soap into vegetables.
And then
Instead of chocolates.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for a while, everything just turned into Gouda cheese. Annadale covered her mouth. The girls tracked her wide eyes to blue butterflies fluttering throughout the smashed hole in the wall. Agatha snorted. It's just a butterfly. Hester shot her with sparks from her finger, and Agatha gasped in pain. The tattooed witch glowered at her, and with a red-lit finger drew smoky words in the air. She's listening.
You were right.
Yep. Agatha shook her head, confused. Hester and Annabelle counted down the fingers. 5, 4, 3, 2. The bathroom door creaked open and a head poked through. There you are, Agatha, Dean said as a butterfly drifted back to her dress pattern. Class starts in 5 minutes, and you're not in uniform. Not the best way to start your first day. She shot a black look at Hester and Annabelle, as if this included their company. Her eyes drifted down to the hole in the wall behind them, which instantly filled in and repaired itself. Destruction of property is rather masculine trait, she said to the two witches in her tone glacial. Then she smiled approvingly at Dot. I suggest you two learn from your roommate how to behave like women, or you'll never know. The castle might teach you the same lesson that it taught all the boys. Hester and Annabelle bowed their heads nervously, which made Agatha even more wary of the dean. She remembered that odd feeling that she was being eavesdropped during the welcoming. As a blue butterfly perched on Sophie's shoulder, Agatha drew a breath. The butterfly in the woods, the one in the flower ground. The dean had been there all along, leading them here, and she had heard every word. Shall we, dear? The dean held open the door with a long, sharp nail. Muscles tensed. Agatha followed her out, but kept her eyes pinned on the mirror, just in time to see Hester's reflection raise furious black eyes and mouth the one last command. Tonight.
I think this is a worse dean than the first dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's awful.
Her level of evil reminds me of the pink-dressed woman in Harry Potter.
Yes.
Yeah, Umbridge.
Yes.
Umbridge.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I always think of the carving into the wrist.
Oh, you mean the hands?
Yeah.
There is this person on TikTok who does like the if I was in Hogwarts, and she was like drawing smiley faces on it so that they would have smiley faces on her hand. That's all I can think about when I'm thinking of Umbridge.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in again this week.
Let us know what you think so far about the story. What do you think is going to happen next in the next chapter? We love hearing your comments or reading your comments, and we reply as much as we can. And yeah.
Just a reminder, this is the second week of the 2-week-long Instagram giveaway. So make sure you go on there.
Follow us. Yep, follow us on Instagram. Like and comment on our picture. Which book you've liked so far, and then we'll announce our winner. Yeah. Okay.
Right, until next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.